right, Sheila, can you hear us?
I can.
Sounds good. The time is 7 o'clock, and I will call this meeting to order. May we have roll call, please?
Mayor Reichel,
Here.
Pro Tem Hanrahan,
Here.
Trustee Britnell,
Here.
Trustee Klassen,
Here.
Trustee Engelhardt,
Here.
Trustee Poston,
Here.
Trustee Seifert.
Here.
All right, may we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, be seated. All right. The first item on the agenda tonight is the proclamation recognition for Miners Claim Restaurant for 25 years of service. So Christian, if you'd like to come up to the table, and if you'd like to bring your guest with you, feel free, yeah.
My daughter.
All right. Thanks for being here with us tonight. So
Thank you.
I will go ahead and read this proclamation into the record. So, whereas Christian Herrera graduated from culinary school with multiple degrees in 1995, and whereas Christian Herrera purchased a 3-bedroom, commercially zoned cabin in downtown Silt in June of 1997, and whereas Christian Herrera and his father spent the ensuing 2 years developing the Miners Claim into the vision of what you see today, and whereas the Miners Claim Restaurant held its grand opening to the public on July 2nd, 1999, and whereas Christian Herrera could not have accomplished any of this without the world-class employees he has attracted and their shared dedication to excellence, and whereas the town of Silt looks forward to the Miners Claim continuing to serve as a culinary destination for the residents of the town and all visitors near and far. Now therefore, I, Keith B. Reichel, Mayor of the town of Silt, do hereby recognize July 2nd, 2024 as the 25th anniversary of Miners Claim Restaurant, in which the company continued success in the years to come. Dated this 8th day of July, 2024. So, if you'd like to come on up, this is your copy. Thank you very much, and
We
thank
clap
you for
now.
all you do for the town.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, yes. I don't know if you have a few words you'd like to share, if you...
It's a labor of love. I tell you, usually once, possibly twice a week, I want to burn it, but it has grown to the point where I can actually have a normal life at this point. I'm not always connected to my cell phone. I've got phenomenal employees, and that's the backbone of that place. They take my vibe and they run with it. But I truly love Silt. I own a small ranch up the road here, right below Harvey Gap, and it's all of my friends back in the day, 27 years ago, thought I was crazy when I was residing up in Aspen, and they're still waiting tables and doing the same old ski bum stuff, and I'm down here just enjoying life at this point.
That's great.
I truly enjoy serving the people of the town of Silt, and of course probably a 50-60 mile radius around. So thank you all very much.
Thank you for what you do.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, thanks for joining us tonight.
Welcome. Thank you.
Yes, congratulations. Yes, have a good night.
Yes, congratulations. Have a good night, guys.
Congratulations, Grace.
Thank you very much.
All right, the next item on the agenda is public comments. Persons desiring to make a public comment on items not on the agenda shall activate the raised hand function in the meeting program. Or Sheila, do you have any phone calls or emails in regards to non-agenda items?
No, I did not hear from anyone today.
Okay. Do we have any raised hands?
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
All right. And do we have anybody signed in for public
No, sir.
comments? Okay. All right. Then moving right along, the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which contains the minutes of the June 24th, 2024 Board of Trustees meeting, the grant agreement for the Silt Community Park renovation project, and resolution number 26, series 2024, A resolution of the Board of Trustees approving an agreement for professional services with Sustainable Strategies, Inc. For management and grant services for the town of Silt. Would anyone like to discuss any of those separately or make a motion?
I just wanted to know if we have a number of grants that they were able to successfully underwrite for us. I think they've done we've gotten quite a few, but I just don't know that we have a number associated with them or not. Just to see, how long have we been in contract with them? A couple of years, has it been already?
We'd be moving into, I believe this would be our first year renewing
The very
contract.
first year.
Yeah, so they did it for us last year. This would be the.
And we had some great successes, I anticipate.
They, just to answer the question, they helped us with the GOCO grant, which was for $900,000 for the renovation of Community Park. They also assisted in obtaining $2 million of congressionally directed spending for the water treatment plant, as well as additional grants that we were able to receive for the treatment plant for the emerging contaminants. And they also assisted with the housing needs assessment grant that we were able to receive from DOLA. So they
Justify those dollars.
yes.
Yeah.
And the 1 million, we got another $1 million grant from DOLA that she helped with as well.
That's outstanding.
So-
It's great to see good results
It's
like this.
been a good return on the investment. We have, going forward, we have a number of large projects that we're looking for her assistance on to make sure that we can stay in the grant cycle.
Okay.
They even
Thank
showed
you.
up to our 2 presentations to DOLA, their executive committee.
Yes.
So they were on site to just provide some last-minute updates and coaching
Very
and
hands-on.
stuff like that.
It's great.
So they're where they need to be when needed.
I just love when we have our contracted services and we see those results coming into fruition like this. I think that's it's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I just had, for the people at home, the community park project, it'll be started next year or 2026?
We are hoping to actually start and finish the project in 2025.
Okay.
It is, I think originally there was some thought that we were going to be able to do the project in 2024. However, with the community outreach that we need to do, we don't anticipate being able to move into a construction phase until sometime in 2025. And it may be dependent upon the extent of the work that we're going to do, that we won't start until the fall of 2025.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Any further discussion?
No.
All right.
Well,
Just a quick question. Was the fee the same? I can't remember what we paid.
It is the same monthly
Same one.
fee.
Okay, I couldn't remember what it was last time. Okay. That was my only question.
Okay.
well, I guess, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion approving the consent agenda as written.
Second.
Okay. Motion by trustee Clausen to approve the consent agenda as written, seconded by trustee Seifert. All is in favor?
Aye.
All is opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Do any board members have any conflicts of interest with agenda items tonight?
No, sir.
Not here.
I have none either. So we will move on to the introduction of the new staff in the police department.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to this,
Microphone.
that are really new as of right now. Gotta speak loud so you can hear in a minute. This is Tessa and this is Amber. Tessa came from Grand Junction Academy. She's currently an FTO. And Amber will be starting the academy in August. Hope to have her out by December, which will put us at full staff, +1.
Okay.
Excellent.
Full staff plus one.
Never thought we'd
Introduce
see the day.
What's your names? Hi, I'm Tessa Berry. It's nice to meet you guys.
Welcome.
I'm Amber Lair. I just moved over to the area a couple months ago, and I'm super excited to be a part of the town of Silt and be serving in this capacity. So it's nice to meet you all as well.
All right.
Welcome. Nice to meet you guys. And
they both gonna be patrol?
Correct. I
Yeah.
think Tessa's in phase 2 or phase 3?
Phase 2.
Phase 2 of FTO right now. And like I said, Amber will be starting the academy in August.
Outstanding. Welcome, ladies. That's excellent. Very
Thank
good. Yeah,
Thank you.
very happy to have you.
So full staff is how many officers?
We'll be at 12. And with that, once we get everybody out of training, which takes some time, and the academy, we'll be able to focus on the 24-hour coverage that we've been striving for.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I guess I would just like to know why Silt? Yeah.
Well, let's see. Officers Farnham and Corporal Hickson actually came down and presented at my academy one day, and I was very taken with the town and all that it offers. I appreciate the effort and the support that the police department offers its officers. And I really, really like the town. I think it's a very unique place, and I'm very excited to be here.
Okay.
For me personally, I grew up in Cedar Edge, and moving over here to Silt is very reminiscent of the small kind of agricultural, close-knit community. And so I had a few competitive offers, as I'm sure the other officers probably did, from larger communities, but I think being able to connect with people in a smaller setting and serve the actual town that I'm living in was really one of the compelling reasons.
Okay.
So, yeah,
All right. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yep.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Next up is our water plant construction update.
Evening, Dan Galvin, Garney Construction. Update for the Town of Silt Water Plant. So health and safety, to date we continue with a good record, no incidents on site. Continue to work well with plant staff and controlling visitors, making sure everyone's wearing the proper PPE when they get on site to stay safe. We continue with our controlled entry. Trailers out at the front when we see folks coming in and out, and again, make sure everybody's there for the right business. And then as of late, hot weather awareness. With the weather temperatures increasing last week and again into this week, we talk about this regularly with our staff, make sure everyone's staying hydrated and getting enough shade if need be. Construction progress. So last time we presented pictures, we showed that we were starting our form work. To date, we've got all that form work in, got a rebar in, got our concrete placed. So we do have the two deeper structures, our backwash supply tank and the chemical trenches are in and poured. And then today we did some leak testing on the water-bearing structure last week and waterproofing on the structures today, which will allow us to continue with backfill end of this week into the next couple weeks to get the site looking back to normal a little bit and allow us to continue with the next level, upper level of foundation work. Schedule, we're maintaining our schedule. We've talked previous about some of our difficulties with getting the CDPHE approval. Again, we got past that part and making progress. We've seen some good news, some updates and time improvements on some of our longer lead items, which is a positive for us. Budget, I provided the contingency log this time around. Apologize again for not last time. I'm not sure if that got passed around or not. No changes again since last month for what we're seeing there. Billing to date, 2.3 million billed for construction and construction services to date on the site. And with that, I'd be glad to take questions.
If you could just answer for people that are watching, it says here, with cost savings from the earthwork, can you explain, what did you save on, I guess, just so people are watching, they know what it is? You got 3 line items here.
Okay, so from initial estimates, of what the planned work was to the work that's been performed, and then some of the additional work that has been picked up by the local earthwork subcontractor resulted in some cost savings, and that's what's reflected there.
Okay, no, I know somebody had asked me, and I said, when I talked to you, because they're watching, I said, because they don't know what that really means, so I just thought okay.
Yeah, so the local contractor is very competitive, and there's a result.
So as CDPHE, do we have?
Yes.
We have their blessing at this point?
We
to
do, and
move forward?
their response has been reviewed, and we're moving forward. We've got essentially everything we asked for.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then with the river's been pretty high. Are you still having groundwater issues, or?
It has, past tense, yes, it has been high.
Okay.
And then this week we've noticed that there is less water in our dewatering wells compared to it's been impressive to watch the water move through the dirt. But so it's coming back down, which is good timing now that we're moving back into our backfill operations.
Excellent.
So we'll see. Maybe this next presentation might be able to tell you that we've decommissioned our dewatering wells.
Okay. All right.
There's 2 line items that say tracking additional cost. The monetary amounts look small. Is there any substantial schedule impact? Lines 15 and 16.
I don't have it in front of me. What are the descriptions?
Velodyne polymer system 2-year warranty, add 13,548, and then the line 16 says Pure Line chlorine dioxide generator 2-year warranty, add 8,562. My interpretation is that they're not impacting the schedule at all, but I just wanted to clarify.
Notes from previous meetings with the team, including the town's other consultants, hence those line items are on there so that they just don't get forgotten, and that they're in there, making sure that after construction period's done, that the equipment's covered. So there's tracking items. Yeah, no schedule impact.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Where's the building coming from?
It's Chief. There's 3 or 4.
I'm just curious.
3 or 4 national brands that produce the pre-engineered metal buildings. This one is Chief, and I believe it's Nebraska.
Oh, okay.
And it's a vendor out of north of Denver that'll bring it on site and erect it.
I've dealt with them, so they're pretty good.
Okay.
So when's your estimate when we're gonna have the steel going up?
Right now we're tracking delivery end of September and erection shortly after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the goal is to have an enclosed building by December.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, get us weathered in so we can continue with some of the mechanical or pipe work inside and other HVAC work inside the building.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
And one final question.
Yes, sir.
Of the contingency amount, the original 90% budget included about 1.9 million, and there's almost 1.6 left. At what point, besides the end of the construction period, will we be pretty certain that money's going to be left over? Do you have an estimate? I mean, you may not at this point.
Right. With our CDPHE approval, knowing that there's no wholesale changes in the equipment we're installing now, it's not too far off. We've already tasked the plant staff and some of the town staff with considering additional items to add to the plant, or to things we've talked about. Not everything's being touched. So if there's some additional pumps or electrical items that they'd like addressed, those are things that they can include in the contract to use those funds appropriately.
Yeah, I just bring that up because we've borrowed this money. We already have it in the bank. And the most expensive money that we have will be money that we use at the end of the project to offset interest cost. And so there will be other, depending on how we move forward, there will be other items that we come to you with asking for approval, as we know that we're not going to need it for a contingency for the actual plant construction. There are other components that we haven't replaced as we tried to keep, costs down. We didn't pave the roadway or any of the part surface areas. Those are items that we may come back to you and, talk to you about whether that would be a wise use for the funds.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we got to pay for it anyway, so we might as well
Correct.
use
Yeah, I
all
would
that we
say, so
can.
in other words,
Uh-huh.
spending the money on equipment is actually a better use of the funds than trying to pay down the loan immediately.
Correct, because you don't pay down the principal, you use the excess money to pay interest costs.
Then use it when we get to that point where we know we're going to need
Yeah,
it.
well, we'll find something to improve.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm sure we can.
There's no fancy windows and stuff.
No fancy windows, no trees,
Pictures of birds.
no pictures.
Are you going to cut out my art budget?
If I will print you a picture if you guys want a picture.
He's not going to tell you what it's going to be of.
Yeah.
Just that there'll be a picture.
He knows someone that has a class that will do some kid art for us that we
Yeah.
can put up on the walls.
Exactly.
Could be a masterpiece.
It could be, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I don't have any further questions, so thank you for the update. Sounds like things are going well.
Yep,
Thank you.
great.
Yeah, thanks for the update.
We'll see you next
Look
month.
forward to the next one.
Sounds
Thank you,
good.
sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is the first reading of ordinance number 8, series 2024. An ordinance of the town of Silt, Colorado, amending chapter 2.16 of the Silt Municipal Code pertaining to the compensation and duties of the Planning and Zoning Commission. This is a public hearing, but for now I will turn it over to Town Clerk McIntyre.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this ordinance has kind of been a long time coming. We've been trying to get in and do some housekeeping in this section of code. So we also took the opportunity while we were in here to recognize the conversation that we had earlier about compensation for the trust or the commissioners. So I'd ask that if you want to weigh in on if you feel the dollar amounts that we put in there is appropriate, or if you had something else in mind. And I would be happy to answer any other questions.
I don't have any questions. I mean, I think the pay increase is fair. But the only thing is, we got to be careful. We can't have P and Z, the same as the board, because then people would be like, well, yeah, I'll go to P and Z because I don't have to worry about an election or anything like that, So that's just thought on it.
I think the amount,
Well, I think the amount we put on there still keeps them
Yes.
yeah.
underneath the board's pay to the degree that it's still gives them a fair amount
Yeah.
for the number of hours that they do put in on any given packet.
Exactly.
We did increase the chair to make just a little bit more than the other commissioners, just because we feel that's appropriate as well. It's kind of in the same line of the mayor making more than the trustees by a fraction.
Oh, yes, I agree with you 100%. I was just saying if we wanted to increase them more. But anyway, that's just my thought.
I think it's fair. It recognizes the effort they put in and the value they provide to us. And
We also added a section that talks of vacancies for commissioners who may miss a number of meetings for no reason, and to have something to address that with.
No, that's good, because that has happened in the past where, you wouldn't see a commissioner for 6 months. But, so that's good, that's in there.
And this is now a per month amount versus a per meeting amount, correct?
It's a per month amount regardless of the number of meetings that are held in
So-
that month.
But it gives
Right,
the board some flexibility if we need P and Z to weigh in on something
correct.
that it's already, let's say the payment is already embedded for their participation in additional meetings.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's good. I like all of it.
Yep.
Yes, and I like
Probably
that you added the reappointment for all terms shall take place in July. Because, when I was on P&Z, sometimes that was an issue of, okay, when do we do this? And, it didn't seem like it was very consistent. So that takes care of that. So that's good.
Why did we pick July?
That's what was in code previously, so we just stuck with that. Their terms have always been a 4-year term that begins in July.
Makes sense. I was just curious if there are things that P&Z is in the middle of reviewing in July, and if there were a wholesale change in who gets appointed, does it delay that process or cause friction with that process?
Of course, well, any month is going to have.
Yeah. And it's
We can run into that same problem at any time of the year.
What month isn't there going to be something?
Yeah.
It's fair.
No different than the trustees. We're in the middle of something
And this is an off year, so you won't see a reappointment this year. It will happen in 2025.
Okay. Any further discussion before I open up the public hearing?
Nope.
Yep.
Okay. The time is 7:26 PM, and I will open up the public hearing for the first reading of ordinance number 8, series 2024. Persons desiring to make a public comment on this agenda item, please activate the raised hand function in the meeting program. Or Sheila, any phone calls or emails in regards to this agenda item?
No, I did not hear from anyone.
Okay.
I do not show any raised hands, Mr. Mayor.
Would the member of the public like to speak to this agenda item? Okay, nope. All right. The time is 7:27. I will close the public hearing and open up to further discussion by the board or a motion.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 8, series 2024 as presented.
I started to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
And that is to include the redlined items and.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion by trustee Seifert to approve ordinance number 8, the first reading of ordinance number 8, series 2024, as the red line copy in the packet. And that motion was seconded by trustee Clausen. All is in favor?
Aye.
All is opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the first reading of ordinance number 9, series 2024. An ordinance of the town of Silt, Colorado, repealing and replacing chapter 12.20 of the Silt Municipal Code pertaining to the Skyline Cemetery, and staff has requested continuance until July 22nd. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the attorneys are still weeding through some of the wording on that, so we ask that we continue that to the July 22nd meeting.
Okay. Do we need to make a motion to continue that?
Yes, please, to continue the public hearing.
Okay. So would someone like to make a motion to?
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to continue the public hearing for ordinance number 9, series 2024 to the July 22nd, 2024 meeting.
Second.
All right. Motion by trustee Britnall to continue the first reading of ordinance number 9, series 2024 to the July 22nd, 2024 meeting. And that was seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor?
Aye.
All is opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up is the election participation discussion. I will turn this over to Manager Mann.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the June 24 meeting, during the work session, we had a discussion about potentially seeking electoral approval for a couple of sin taxes, primarily a cigarette tax or a marijuana excise tax. During that discussion, you asked for a little clarification in terms of what others in the River Valley are charging, so we included that information. Those communities that are charging a marijuana excise tax are all charging 5%. Newcastle does not have any marijuana sales within their jurisdiction, so they obviously are not there. In terms of a cigarette tax, as you continue downstream, the taxes are reduced. Glenwood Springs is $4 a pack, Newcastle $3.50 a pack, Rifle $1.94, and Parachute has no tax. So that's the kind of the additional information that you had requested. We're looking for some direction as to, A, are you interested in pursuing either the cigarette or the excise tax for marijuana? And then B, do you want to pursue it for the November 24 election, or do you want to do more study and community outreach and push it to 2025? There is nothing that compels you necessarily to go either way if you are interested in entertaining either of those taxes. The only compelling reason is if they are approved, the revenues would start earlier if we did a 24 election versus a 25 election. But as Clerk McIntyre indicated during the work session, the ballot for 2024 is already fairly chock full with a number of statewide initiatives as well as other local initiatives. So there's a certain amount of, well, maybe we don't put it on the ballot this time, simply because the more people have to vote on, sometimes the more fatigue they get, and they just vote no on everything. The benefit is that in 2024, it's a presidential election, so you'll get a better participation than we likely would in 2025. So it's a thought either way. We have kind of opined from our perspective, from a collective staff perspective, that we would need to identify what the revenues would be used for. And we believe that it would be good to create a revenue source for Parks and Recreation that would help us offset and defray park improvements and/or additional recreation programs within the town.
Perhaps hiring, did you say something in the package about hiring additional recreation?
It may include the hiring of a recreation employee that would be in charge of doing some of these recreational programs.
So for Sheila, how much would it, just a rough idea, what does an election like this would cost us? Just a rough idea.
Oh, ballpark, I would say maybe 3,000 to 5,000.
Okay, I understand.
It depends upon the number of voters who actually vote. The county will charge us based on the number of ballots they have to send out, our registered electors, how many they count, and then just their fee. We would have to go into an IGA agreement with the county to, since they'll be running it, but we will be coordinating with them. And like Manager Mann said, the county clerk had spoken with me a couple of weeks ago saying how large the ballot is right now. It's already at 2 pages, and somewhat cautioned us to think twice if we did want to move forward, just due to the size of the ballot. Like Jim was saying, it could be difficult to get a favorable outcome on it. Plus, we could use this next year to educate the public and hopefully have a better turnout next year when we have our regular general election here for the town of Silt.
Would there be anything on 25 besides this? What else we got coming up? Or what election would there be next year?
Next year, we have a board election. So we do have,
Okay,
I believe
that's
it's
right. Yep.
3 or 4 seats that come up next year of you sitting there that would, you'd have to circulate your petitions, and we would go through a regular election
Okay.
for council.
I have a question. Is there a reason why they're two substances are sort of both in the same? I mean, can we separate those? I have different feelings about the two different issues, the two different taxes. So.
We just included both of them. I think in our work session discussion, dependent upon the level of the excise tax, that would generate between roughly, depending upon the size of the tax, somewhere between $100,000 and $150,000. The cigarette tax we anticipated would be somewhere in the same ballpark, depending upon where we set the tax compared to our neighbors.
Is there any research being done about the other impacts, if it deters smoking in children or things like, I mean, I'm curious what
I-
analysis and if they're separate between the two.
So the anecdotal evidence that I can give you is that the town of Newcastle overshot in their ballot language in terms of the revenues that they received in the first year. So they ended up having to do Tabor refunds. The amount of revenue generation has dropped and probably continues to drop as general smoking continues to drop across the nation. So I don't know that that's a super stable revenue source. There's always been some, I guess, opinion that because we don't have a cigarette tax and we don't have a marijuana excise tax, it causes people to come here to buy cigarettes and or marijuana. I think that's anecdotal at best. Economics-wise, the market bears what the market's going to bear in terms of price. And if I'm living in Newcastle or Rifle, I'm probably not getting in the car to drive to buy a packet of cigarettes.
Right. I guess I would like to see more information about some of that statistically, I guess, numerically, what the impacts are, or what they're projected to be, and separate it out between the two. And if there's any like social impacts as well that could be beneficial to the town. I feel like I need more information, is all.
When's the deadline?
Yeah, soon.
July 26th, I need to let the county know if we're going to participate or not.
Is either one of these taxes easier to track than the other? I mean, just curious. I didn't know. Are they both the same? I didn't know.
They're probably equal.
Okay.
I mean, cigarette tax would be tough to discern by itself. Marijuana tax, we can't in this town because we only have one
Right.
dispensary. So if
There's two.
oh, we'd have to,
But you still can't do it because.
We
they could
still
figure out who-
cannot,
Yeah,
identify specifically.
that.
We can provide ranges.
yeah. So, but I think I'm not sure if you got the full clarification. We would do this as two ballot questions: one for a cigarette tax and one for
Right.
a marijuana excise tax, or one and not the other, whatever the board decides. It won't be worded as one ballot question.
And we're not
That would
required to
certainly
do
help,
both, or one, we're not required to do both or the other. You can do one, either, or neither.
Or,
Correct.
Okay.
No for none of the above.
Yeah.
So we're all allowed
Yeah.
to have like a different opinion about each one, or
Yes.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
obviously, right, okay.
I mean, as far as opinions go, I don't think 2024 is a good year to try and rush this through, especially with 2 pages of
Yep.
ballot language and a presidential race that's going to already annoy people. So are they just going to go through ballots just checking
Yep.
boxes? Potentially. I don't think we're going to get the most out of it as a community as we would waiting till 2025. And then at that point, I would be in favor of putting ballot language in that it has to be for Parks and Rec. And I would do $2.50 a pack on cigarettes, and I would try for the 5% on marijuana.
Yeah, I agree. I think 2025 would be our best option. I think 24 is going to it's going to be just so much going on this year, especially with it's all happening. I just think people are going to be stressed out the way it is.
Yeah.
So could this potentially affect, well, let's just say in the future, there's some recreation district with Newcastle. Could this be affected by it? I mean, if let's say we do this and it passes, or is it just going to add to it? It wouldn't necessarily change anything.
It would be a revenue source that would, regardless of whether we had a recreation district with another, community, it would be a revenue source
Okay.
that would have to be used for Parks and Recreation.
So it could be used to pay the town of Silt's portion of any fees on a recreation district or pay for our own.
Yep.
Okay. All right, I see what you're saying. So, I mean, it wouldn't necessarily go to Newcastle's facilities. It would just stay at Silt's facilities?
It would be the board's discretion of how the money would be spent as long as it was spent on Parks and Recreation.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I'd be in favor of this, but next year.
And then that does give time for more information and also to not rush it. Because when you tend to rush things, things don't get done well.
Well, it'd be kind of a rushy, but just a heck of it. We'd really have to getting going here to get it on. Yeah, I'm for 2025.
I guess between now and 2025, we can have a more in-depth discussion on what to put in that ballot language.
Yep. I mean, it'd be nice to be able to have done it for this year, because obviously, the sooner you start collecting the money, the better. And I think that there are things that it's not out of line to do it. I mean, especially since other communities have already done it, it's not like we're starting the trend.
Yeah, come back sometime in April of
I definitely
25
think-
and give us time to get it.
Yeah, we don't
I'm
even
sure
have
it's probably
the,
gonna take a couple of meetings to get the exact language, so.
the ballot question language isn't even written.
Correct.
And it would have to be done in 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks. Yeah.
Well, the ballot language would need to be done by the end of August, if I remember
Oh,
correctly.
okay. Yeah.
We have to notify the county on the 26th, am I correct?
Yeah.
26th
That's correct.
Of whether
So
we're going to
April or May, so
participate
we
in
got
the
time.
election.
We don't have
or
to
not.
hand in the actual.
We don't have to hand in the
language
actual
of the question.
language.
Thank
Because the language has to be approved, has to be written, has to be approved by the board.
It still seems a bit rushed.
Yep.
I share Trustee Englehart's opinion. I'd like to see more info. I'd also like to think about, are there other uses for the funds other than Parks, Rec, and Culture? I'd like to take some time, particularly as part of the budget process, and is it a 50-50 split with Parks and Rec and some other use case that we just haven't thought about yet? Give ourselves that time to really put all of these pieces together. But I don't have any problems with any of the numbers you mentioned, Mr. Mayor. I think they're reasonable given what our neighboring communities are doing.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we have direction.
Yeah, we will continue to have some discussion on the occasional work session, working towards a 2025 ballot initiative to vet out some of the questions, concerns, where the money's going to go, what it's going to be used for, et cetera. So it'll be a continued discussion.
Okay. Sounds good. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Good. Next up is updates from the administrator and staff reports.
You have all the staff reports. The only thing I would add to mine at this point is I did receive a call from a citizen who resides in the Red River Inn complaining about the fact that we do not have an ordinance that requires operating air conditioners in rental units and/or in owner-occupied units. I indicated that I would bring it up, but I did explain to the gentleman that his complaints about an inoperable air conditioner is really a civil case between he and his landlord. But he wanted me to bring it up, and if there's an appetite by the Board of Trustees to explore a code provision to look at some sort of requirement for air conditioning units, that's entirely up to the board. And correct me if I'm wrong, the new building code requires?
Yeah, there's requirements in the new energy code for air exchange for heating and cooling that we adopted.
Yeah, I think the particular case you're talking about sounds like a civil issue, not a board level issue.
Mm-hmm. But I indicated that I would mention it this evening.
Thank you for bringing it up. Does anybody want to take that one on at this level?
I think if we implemented something like that, it would have a really chilling effect on people's ability to provide that type of housing to people, because it sets a standard that might be unattainable for a lot of our landlords. So a blanket rule like that might cause a lot of problems, actually.
I like how you use the word chilling,
that's-
considering
that's-
air conditioning.
That's that's pun well played.
Whether intended or not.
Yeah.
That was not an intended pun.
I think it's also one of those things where this board has tended to not try to tell people what to do with their property and how they have to do things.
Yeah.
And that steps into a requiring people to do things isn't necessarily the style of this community.
This is a slippery slope. What, are we gonna pick a temperature number and then all landlords have to meet it? Like, it seems like a very slippery slope once we start engaging in that kind of dialogue. I think it's a private matter.
Yeah.
I got a question. Now, Chief Kite is still on, or maybe you can answer. The warnings, that's traffic warnings, right? 2024, it's up from 32 to 128. I'm assuming that's traffic, right?
My understanding, yes.
I hear
I'm just-
Chief,
He's coming.
I hear him.
He's burning
I
rubber
didn't
to
know if
get
that
in here.
included any other stuff, so, okay.
Here he is.
There it's coming.
Thanks for meant to get down here.
'Cause I know it's up from 32 to 128, so I was just curious what that all was.
The majority of them are traffic warnings, but also warnings are first offense or second offense of dogs in the park. Any kind of contact that's a law enforcement contact, it's like, stop doing it. The majority of them are traffic warnings.
Okay, I was just curious. I didn't, so what it was, so. Does that include parking too on the wrong side, parking warnings and so on and so forth?
Correct.
Like junk vehicles, that's a different, that's not in this?
No.
Okay. Tickets are up, you're doing good, that's over tripled. Doing a good job.
We are really focusing on traffic, and that's why you see quite a few warnings. Educate when we can, issue when it's necessary. To kind of slow down and get people to come to complete stops at stop signs. That's kind of our plan right now.
I know you could sit by the post office and give tickets for 50 above all day long, the way they're still going, that doesn't even slow them down, but. Okay, yeah, that was my question, thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what?
That was it.
Oh,
That was his question, yeah. I'm just gonna piggyback on that, I think it's very important that our town employees are stopping at stop signs, not speeding, not on their cell phones. It's one thing to see your neighbor rolling through a stop sign. It's completely different to see a town vehicle rolling through a stop sign. So, for all our town staff that may be listening, please abide by traffic laws.
Set the example.
I mean, the overpass is still 15 miles an hour for people in city trucks. It's not 45. So, set the example.
We'll make mention of that.
It's always, it's a summertime thing. Everyone's loving it. Town's busy, but hit the brakes. So. Okay. Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
So how far, now we're going past the roundabout to the Davis Point, right?
No.
Isn't that where town limits is, or?
It's just it's kind of peculiar, the way it's laid out. Highway 6, our jurisdiction stops at the roundabouts.
Oh, that's right, you're right.
The land that runs down both sides of Highway 6 belong to the town of Silt.
Yep,
They're within our city limits.
okay.
How's the flock camera installation going?
Our flock camera that we have outside on the frontage road toward Golden Gate has gotten 2 hits and a couple warrants off of it. Right now, we're waiting for CDOT, who's literally dragging their feet right now, to give us permits to get the rest of them hooked up, to get them installed. So, red tape with government, no secret.
No secret.
So, as everything's ready to go as soon as we get the permits.
Okay. So if we only have one camera operational, are we only paying for one camera to
Correct.
be operational? Okay.
Correct.
We're not
We
paying
only-
the whole system yet?
No.
Okay.
And we did, I'm still waiting for the check from the state once again. We are dealing with government. That we did get our flock cameras paid for through a state grant.
Okay.
We're just waiting for the check to reimburse the town.
Okay.
Did we get a couple of did we get our new vehicles, or one of my seen Rox, did she have a new one, or?
We've had these for a while. It's just taken the installers some time.
But they're
to get them
new
going.
vehicles?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they
So
are.
what did we get, the gray one?
The gray one, which I'm driving, the blue one, which the detective, Roxy is driving, and we've got the black one, the lieutenant's driving, and then we have one patrol vehicle, which Ghost Graphics, which you really have to look at to see, but it really reflects during the night.
And then your old one got turned into an admin vehicle?
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. That's all I've got for Chief.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I can maybe add, based on our discussion prior, we do have 4 seats that will be coming up in 2025. Those would be Mayor Pro Tem's seat, Trustee Poston, Trustee Bretnall, and Trustee Engelhardt will all go up for election in November of 2025.
Okay. All right.
I have a question for Jim about the tax increment financing. Is that going to be part of our 2025 budget planning? Or is it too quick to, do we need to do more research and analysis on the concept?
I think it's one of the tools that you have in your tool belt for fostering economic development. It's going to be dependent upon opportunities out there. Once you create a downtown development district or authority, you're limited to, the properties that you put into it to begin with, and perhaps some inclusion areas. So there's a limiting factor, but we would need to really do a lot of research and focus in on that. But it's really going to be dependent upon the project that we might be able to see come forward. It's not something that we're going to jump on willy-nilly. There's going to have to be a fair amount of study that goes into it.
So it could also require some updates to zoning.
It wouldn't necessarily require updates to zoning, but it will require the creation of a special district.
I have a question for Nicole. Out behind 570 and our storage units, they're there, they're not there, they're there. I did read something, what was it, in P&Z, I didn't quite catch what that all, is that something that's being held? I just didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, they started installing a different plan than what was approved by P&Z. And so they have to go back in front of P&Z to amend their site plan. So everything's on hold minus the installation of the water line until they get P&Z approval. And they didn't provide all the documents needed to be on the agenda for Wednesday, so they are pushed to August. So then we'll have a better idea of what exactly it is, the changes that they're proposing.
Okay.
Yep. And landscaping.
Okay.
That's all I got.
I got one more for Nicole. Free up storage. What's going on with that?
They kind of went radio silent on us. They have not given us an application for out-of-town taps yet.
Okay.
As soon as they do, we'll bring them in front of the board to ask for permission, but they haven't. They've talked to other people about being prepared to bore under the interstate and meet our requirements, but they haven't talked to us about it. We've just kind of heard it through the grapevine of what they're telling other people.
So that's their closest, is to bore underneath the...
There are 2 options, were to bore under the interstate and create a new connection, or come through Randy Murr's property. And I don't know what happened between the agreement with them. They found that boring under the interstate was going to be the better option for them.
Okay. But that's holding them up from being able to continue and operate.
Correct.
Because it's a fire
suppression.
fire suppression
Yeah.
system. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's pretty
So
much
at some point they're going to be here. We just don't know when.
when.
Yeah.
Because they don't. I mean, yeah, they don't have another. They're not going to drill a well that's going to feed a fire suppression system.
I cannot imagine so. No, not with the pressure needed
Yeah.
for the
For
hydrant.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless they built a huge storage tank.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that out behind, they are putting a retention pond in, right? Is that what that big pond is behind us?
On the
I-
south side of the project, the southeast corner.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because as much as they've raised that, I thought, wow, they're gonna flood us out if they don't have some kind of a drainage plan. Because I mean,
Yeah.
they put in 3-4 feet of dirt above us.
They did submit a new drainage plan that our engineer then gave comments to. So the engineers are kind of going back and forth on what that needs to look like with the proposed changes.
I thought I seen that's what that, I thought that's what that big hole was there. So,
Yeah, that's where it's supposed to, that is supposed to be the detention pond.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Oh, I had a couple questions for Nicole. River Trace, out there by the new roundabout, it seems like everything's stopped again.
They had some changes that they had to get through engineering and architecturals. They just brought in, if you look at the building desk, there's 5 rolls of plans. They brought all the changes in, and they're not on a stop work order or anything. They were just waiting they were just pending a couple changes.
Okay.
So they should still be moving forward. I just got those last week, so I'm assuming that they're going to jump right back on everything.
All right. Just curious.
Yes.
You know, so anyway. And how is work coming along in Camarillo?
I just had a meeting this morning on that one. They are going to come in front of the board on August 12th, I think is what we said. August 12th, and they're going to ask the board about the 2 lots, the 2 parcels that are on the northern portion of that 2-acre parcel that the town purchased, about what to do with those, and then they're gonna come in to help better redefine the DA says partial releases, but there's not a clear definition, and they have an idea of what they're gonna propose for those releases that they would like to come in front of the board with on not a phased infrastructure, but phased releases and what that looks like. So they're requesting a phased release by the end of this month, that they're gonna have the first portion of the extension road paved, all infrastructure done, and then they're gonna do the next road, and then they're gonna work their way up to West Orchard. So that's their goal, is to continue to do one road at a time with the infrastructure. And so
Okay.
what we're saying is they need to have completed phases, not just for every pipe that they're laying, they get a letter of credit reduction, but that it's full phased, like the whole road is complete.
Like
There's
asphalt and everything.
There's
Okay.
dedication to the town, making sure that that those I's are dotted and T's are crossed, so that the town doesn't give all these releases, then turn around and something happened to the economy, and then all of a sudden we're in trouble because we released too much money, and
Oh, yeah.
and then we can't finish it. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for that. And the Public Works Director isn't here, but does anybody know the progress on the new water line boring?
They were finishing up the tie-in. I think they are done with the tie-in at this point.
Oh, okay.
One more question for Chief Kite. Did we give out any fireworks violations? I know I heard them for about an hour, and I seen one of the cars go by and it stopped, so I didn't know.
No, we did not.
Any warnings, or you just,
Warnings I'm not sure of.
but I mean, you did, okay.
But we did have a full team out for the 4th of July, plus a couple of DUI cars. So the town was pretty much saturated.
Okay. All right.
Oh, I have another question for Nicole. How'd your concert go?
It went good. We got more than one show. Unfortunately, there was a crazy lightning storm that ended up cutting the show short because the sound production said that they had too much electric voltage coming through, and it was affecting their ability to provide sound and lighting. So the one show overtook the other show, but it went pretty well. We had around 350 plus or minus. There was people all the way around the outside of the gate too. We just whoever's running the clicker just is who's coming through the gate. But there was people at a horseshoe tournament, a ton of people at the skate park, people just kind of on the outskirts with dogs. So it was somewhere between 350 and 400. The vendors went well. I think it's going to go well with having vendors at events. As long as the weather cooperates, they had to pack up pretty quick when it started raining.
Oh, okay.
So.
And they're kind of, I guess, right field?
They
Or
were
kind of behind the fence?
Yeah,
the
they were
vendors?
behind like first base, primarily because there's electric back there for them. And then, I mean, definitely, I was looking at it like, it'd be really nice to have them come closer. But then the closer they get, it also kind of drowns out their ability to communicate with people because it gets louder with the music. So we're trying to find that sweet spot of where to put vendors where they have power, but then also have the ability to communicate with people without screaming across the table at each other.
That seems like a great spot.
Yeah. Yeah, it worked out pretty well. I think what it is we need more vendors. So it's just kind of getting the word out there, and Dusty's been trying like crazy, but again, like we're always in competition with somebody. Friday is Rifles Farmers Market. And we're only one Friday a month for concerts. So it's just trying to pull vendors to come our direction.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it sounds like it was well attended. You know, yes, it'd be nice to have more vendors.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it was well attended.
It was, and it was great music. Everybody had fun. I was super bummed that a band called Alexis got cut short, but I mean, there was people dancing and all the way through the rain. So there was a handful of people that the rain melted, and then a handful of people that it didn't. So it was good. And then our upcoming concert is on the 19th, and those flyers will be released tomorrow. We were able to confirm we did a Bring Back My Band and got feedback from people. And the band that they wanted to see come back was the Oxymorons. So they're going to come back and do another, we're going to promote it as a Bring Back My Band. And then we have a Fleetwood Mac tribute opening for them, a local Fleetwood Mac tribute. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yep. So that'll be a good one too.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So I do have one more question for you. How are we going to, today I stopped at the food vendor at Garcia's on the corner. It was a disaster. I mean, there's cars everywhere. How is that going to work when that drive-up window was open? There's no way you could have gotten into there. Who's going to police that? I mean, it was packed today. There's no way you could have gotten to that drive-up window. I mean, I'm just curious, who's going to get the calls on that one?
We're probably going to get the calls, but that is private property. We really have no teeth on it. The food truck and the liquor store are going to have to get together themselves and figure out a system. What areas they can keep, they want clear, and what areas they don't. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the liquor store owns that triangle piece of property where the food truck is.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, I don't know that for a fact, but if push comes to shove, I think the person who owns the property is going to win.
I see they got the window installed, and like I say, I went to today, and it was around 12:30, and the lot was packed. They were behind here. I mean, there's no way you could have gotten to the drive-up. So I was just curious how that's not going to work. But
yeah, that's something that they're going to have to make.
They're going to have
to solve themselves.
So they actually leased that from the liquor store. So
Correct.
Yeah.
That's the way I understand it. Yes.
And right now they've been working together before they open the drive-through. They're going to stagger their opening time. So when the owner of the liquor store has been trying to keep track of what time frames the taqueria is super busy, and then they're going to stagger that. So they're more thinking that drive-through is going to be open more towards the evening. Definitely not at rush hour for lunch.
Yeah, you don't want to be open there till about 1:30. You could, it's packed. So.
And if we're if they're blocking the alley, then it becomes a
Correct.
enforcement
Yeah,
issue.
and that's-
Backing traffic up onto the roads, then we can.
Then we
do
could step
something,
in
yeah.
and,
But it's not a thing where we're gonna have an officer out there directing traffic and do that,
No.
'cause that's just not what we do.
no.
Yeah.
Make
I think that
a-
was part of his approval also was we
Michael,
could
be out
review
there-
that if traffic became an issue.
Yeah.
Mike will be out there with this little stop and yield sign.
Get
No,
pictures.
I just brought it up. I didn't mean to interrupt, but today I thought, boy, that's gonna be, they'll have to work that out, so, okay. Okay, no more questions, promise.
More questions, all right. Any other updates from the board or board comments or staff questions?
Nope.
All right.
At this Saturday, 8 a.m., there's a Silt Historical Park 5K walk, fun run. There, that's my last comment.
Okay. All right.
All right,
That's it. Next, we do have an executive session, so I will read what I need to for that, and then we'll get the meeting all set up.
okay.
Okay. So I move to go into executive session for the purpose of a conference with the town attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on a specific legal question under CRS Section 24-6, 4024B, and for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and/or instructing negotiators under CRS Section 24-6-4024E, acquisition of property including Mark S. Anderson, and properties at the base of the future pedestrian bridge, Eric Monroy and Doug Wright.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion by the mayor to enter executive session, seconded by trustee Clausen. All is in favor?
Aye.
All is opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We will give our technical people a couple minutes here to get everything set up. You hear us, Sheila?
She may have gone home.
I can hear you.
Oh.
She's
I'm still here.
I'm gonna wake Sheila up. Okay.
I know, gosh, I was trying to work here.
Okay, the time is now 9:29 PM and the executive session has concluded. No formal action was taken in the executive session. The participants in the executive session were no one entered the executive session and no one left the executive session. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violations of the open meetings law, I'd ask that you state your concerns for the record.
None.
Seeing none, the next item on the agenda is some staff direction.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to direct the town staff to acquire a company for purpose of acquisition, and also direction to start negotiation for the Mr. Anderson property.
Okay. Trustee Poston has made a motion to direct staff to enter into agreement with an acquisition company to negotiate some real estate deals and to negotiate with Mark Anderson on his property.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion by trustee Poston, seconded by trustee Engelhardt. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And next item on the agenda is adjournment.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Okay. Motion by trustee Seifert to adjourn the meeting, seconded by trustee Poston. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Great job, everybody. Have a great evening.
Everybody have a wonderful
Yes, have a good
evening.
evening.
Have a fight.